A viewer wanted to know how long would it take to travel to each planet at current spaceship speeds. For comparison, a Boeing 747 cruises around 570 miles per hour. The Apollo missions, which were propelled by the Saturn V rocket, still the most powerful rocket ever produced by mankind, were going at over 2,000 miles per hour on their way to the moon. The fastest speed ever reached on Earth was by an experimental plane developed by NASA, which could travel at around 2 miles per second. But our fastest spacecraft, satellites, are capable of traveling over 10 miles per second. That's fast. However, it's really the Apollo spacecraft speed that we are interested in, because presumably our astronauts want to be able to, land. These other speeds are simply too great to ever have a hope of landing. You would either whiz right by the planet or be forced to crash directly into it, which is not ideal. In order to reach the farthest planets in our solar system, it's typical to use what's called a gravitational assist, where you fly close to a planet and its gravity pulls in the craft, changes its direction, and gives it an enormous burst of speed. However, we will not be able to use this method for a few reasons. One is, here are the positions of the outer planets. And as you can see, the direct paths to these planets really doesn't follow a very smooth curve. Furthermore, the planets are in motion. Here's where they will be 10 years from now versus where they are today. And the extra speed that comes from gravitational assists will make our spacecraft go too fast to have a chance of landing. And yes, I understand you cannot land on the gas planets, but perhaps we could land on a nearby moon. So please understand that these are very rough approximations. I am not a rocket scientist, and we are not taking into account the extra fuel needed for landing, the starting and ending locations of each planet, the fact that the astronauts would die of starvation or thirst or old age while making this trip, but we're not going to let that stop us from having fun. We're going to assume that we take 8 different trips to each of the other 7 planets plus Pluto. And what I did was I found the average shortest distance between Earth and each of these planets. So, it would take us a little over 3 years to reach Mercury. The closest planet to us is Venus, and it would take about 1.5 years to get there. It would take about 1,000 days to get to Mars, and here's where it becomes very problematic. It would take almost 22 years to get to Jupiter, over 44 years to get to Saturn, almost 95 years to get to Uranus, over 156 years to get to Neptune, and a soul-crushing 200 years and 102 days to reach Pluto, which again is not really a planet. And yes, I factored in leap years when counting how many years and days this would all take.